The boy's small body lay motionless on the sand, pale and trembling as the waves lapped at his tiny feet. Panic roared in the hearts of the beachgoers, their shouts swallowed by the crashing surf. The nurse had never seen anything like this. Never in her long days on base had she felt such a rush of urgency. A pure, unfiltered need to act immediately. She dropped her bag, ran forward, and knelt beside him, hands shaking as she checked for a pulse that barely whispered life.
"Aye."
Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you re-watching from. I love knowing who I is listening. Her training took over in a heartbeat. Fingers pressed against the boy's chest, breaths measured and precise, as she whispered words meant to calm not only him, but herself. Around her, the crowd's murmurs swelled, half in fear, half in awe. Mothers clutched their children. Fathers clenched their fists. The sea breeze carried the scent of salt and urgency, stinging her eyes and making her heart pound against her ribs like a drum. She glanced at the boy's face, coated in sand, eyes closed, lips quivering. Every instinct screamed that time was slipping away. She had faced emergencies before on the base and clinics, war zones, but something about a child so fragile and unprotected made the stakes feel immeasurable. "Please, hold on," she thought, her inner voice almost pleading. The nurse had never imagined the weight of responsibility could feel so heavy. One misstep, and the boy could be gone. Her hands moved in practice motions, compressions, rescue breaths, the rhythm that separated life from death. Around her, the world seemed to blur, the sun glinting on the water. The distant cries of gulls, the salty breeze tugging at her hair until nothing existed except tall, imposing, yet strangely tense, his presence radiating authority, even as his face betrayed panic. He pushed through the crowd, ignoring startled stares, and froze when he saw her. The uniform was familiar, the insignia unmistakable, though she could not yet understand why his gaze was fixed so intently on her hands on the boy. The boy coughed, sputtering, and the nurse let out a breath she hadn't realized she'd been holding. Relief flared like a beacon through the knot of fear in her chest. He was alive. Alive because she had acted without hesitation, without questioning whose son he was, without calculating what consequences might follow. She had simply done what any human being should do: save a life. The crowd around them exhaled collectively. Whispers of astonishment rippled through the sand. People leaned closer, craning their necks to witness the miracle that had unfolded in seconds. Some cried. Others clapped quietly, as if too much noise might shatter the fragile triumph. The nurse looked up, meeting the man's eyes fully for the first time, and froze herself. He was not just anyone. His posture, the sharpness of his uniform, the subtle glint of metalcy, was a 4-star general. And this boy, the one she had saved in a moment of instinct, was his son. For a moment, time seemed suspended, the tension coiling like the waves before they crash on the shore. She thought of all the protocols she had followed, all the training she had internalized, but none of that mattered here. She had acted purely with human instinct, and now faced the silent judgment of one of the most powerful men in the military. The general stepped closer, his expression unreadable. The boy clung to life, coughing, clinging to her hands as if sensing the strength and warmth that had kept him safe. She had no idea who he was, yet she had treated him as her own. Every breath she had coaxed into him was a testament to courage that required no rank, no recognition, only the will to act when it mattered most. Then the tension broke. The general knelt slowly, reaching out a hand not in reprimand, but in gratitude. His voice, low and steady, carried over the surf. "Thank you. You saved my son." Relief washed over her, mingled with awe. I had acted without thinking of the consequences, without knowing the power dynamics at play, without expecting reward or recognition. And yet, in this quiet moment, she realized the full weight of what had just happened. She had stood on a beach, against fear and panic, and chosen courage over hesitation. The boy smiled weakly, eyes shining with trust and relief. Still clinging to her fingers, around them the crowd began to clap quietly at first, then louder, as if the sound itself was a tribute to human kindness. Mothers wept, soldiers straightened, and the general's eyes glimmered with pride, not for himself, but for the woman who had seen a child's life as more important than any rank, any protocol. For a moment she questioned herself. Did she act correctly? Did she overstep boundaries? But watching the boy breathe steadily now, watching the gratitude in the general's eyes, she realized there was no moral ambiguity here. The right thing had been done. And sometimes, the right thing demands bravery beyond rank or recognition. Because kindness doesn't vanish, it waits, and it finds its way back. The waves lapped gently at the shore, sunlight sparkling across the water like shards of gold. The nurse stood, sand clinging to her uniform, heart still racing, but a quiet joy blooming inside. She had saved a life. A boy had another chance at laughter, at sun on his face, at the simple wonder of being alive. And she had been the instrument of that gift, without thought of prestige or honor, simply because it was the right thing to do. The general's hand lingered briefly on her shoulder, a silent acknowledgement of courage and humanity. Around them, life resumed, the beach slowly returning to its ordinary rhythm. Yet in that moment, something extraordinary had occurred. A reminder that in the smallest acts of bravery, the world can be forever changed. If you've ever stepped into fear and acted because it was right, you know that courage is not measured in medals, but in the lives it saves. Tell me in the comments, when have you chosen courage over hesitation? And don't forget to subscribe to Whispered Words for more stories that remind us how bravery, kindness, and humanity always leave a mark.